Hey everyone, welcome to Life with Aoife. I'm Aoife, and once again, thank you so much for tuning on to this channel. It has been a minute. Life got real, school got real, and I just had to take a little hiatus from YouTube, but I am back with more content that's gonna come more often, and I'm so excited to share so many videos with you guys. If you have not, please like and subscribe so you can know exactly when new videos are dropping. Stay tuned for more. So on today's video, we're gonna be talking about what exactly you need to bring if you are going to SGU in the fall. SGU announced that they're gonna be reopening their doors in the fall of August 2021, and they're going to be allowing students to come back on campus, and this pertains to anyone between term 1 and term 5 in the School of Medicine and other schools as well. Now, for those of you who are going back to Grenada or going to Grenada for the first time, there are some things that you will need that I think you should get here in order to save money. Now, Grenada is generally somewhat of a cheap place to live, but there are some things that are very expensive, almost triple or double the price than what you would pay if you were in the US. That is why I created this video, so that you can know exactly what you need to pack, not overpack, and save money in the future. So let's get started. The first thing you will need as an SGU med student, if you don't have this already, is your Step 1 book. This right here, this is your med school Bible. This book is basically created by the founders of USMLE RX, and they basically pretty much put everything you need to know for the Step 1 exam that you will be taking after your basic sciences. What's Step 1? Step 1 is a national board exam that all medical students have to take if they want to practice medicine in the United States. There's Step 1, Step 2, Step 3. Step 1 is typically done after your first 2 years, but it can also be done after your third year. And this book pretty much comprises everything you learned in your first 2 years of med school. So it's pretty thick, as you can see. But what I love about this book is that it pretty much summarizes everything, gets straight to the point, gives you mnemonics, gives you tricks to memorize things, and it's pretty much a review. Now, you definitely have to use your outside notes because this is not going to be enough, but it's a great tool, and almost every single medical student uses the first aid book in order to study for Step 1. Now, if you are in term 1, I don't really think it's necessary to kind of just use this because you haven't learned most things and you don't really know what's important yet. But as you get to term 3, 4, and 5, this is definitely essential. I personally did not really use my Step 1 book in term 1, 2, 3, or 4. It was only in term 5 where I started actually annotating in the Step 1 book and pretty much adding notes that I know would be necessary when I take my board exam. If you're currently going into term 1, you can get the 2021 version, but if you're going into term 4 or term 5, I think it's better to wait to get the 2022 version, just so that you have the most updated material that you can use to study for Step 1. Next, you're gonna need specific type of markers and pens that you can use to annotate in your first aid. The first aid book pages are pretty thick and you can write in them, but they do bleed through, and it's really easy to just start writing in your book and then you wipe over it with your hand or in your wrist. And I found that really annoying, especially when I was writing a lot and I'd be writing and then I lift up my hand and everything is smudged up and like it's a complete mess. Now you're using whiteout and it's just a complete mess. The best thing you can do is get these pens. These are the Micron pens. I will link them in the description below. These pens are so good for annotating in Step 1. They have various different sizes. If you want a thicker pen that simulates a marker or a thinner pen that simulates like a pencil, they have everything, and it's so good because it dries really quickly and allows you to continue writing without worrying about making a mess. If you want some colored pens, I will link in the description the best pens I think you should use for annotating first aid. These are Papermate pens and they're the fine tip, and honestly I like these because they also dry really quickly and they don't bleed through, which is a huge plus. All right, if you haven't already been using a whiteboard, this is a sign. This is a sign to get a whiteboard. SGU has really great places on campus where you can use a whiteboard, and pretty much all the study halls have movable whiteboards. There were times when I was in my apartment in Grenada and I just didn't want to go all the way back to campus just to use a whiteboard, and I found it really necessary for me to get my own. I do understand that having a whiteboard is a pretty big thing and you don't want to have to carry whiteboard through the plane and have to go through TSA and use that as like an extra luggage thing, but you can get the ones that are paper and you can pretty much stick them on your wall, or you can just get one in Grenada. They do have whiteboards there. It just might be a little bit more pricey, but it is something to consider getting if you want to study more in your dorm and not on campus. But please listen to me when I say this. Please just come closer. Please buy as many dry erase markers as you possibly can. no joke, one marker is like literally $5 there. And it's ridiculous because you can get like 5 markers for $1 here. It's just one of those things that's just really unnecessarily expensive in Grenada, and you don't realize how quickly you run through dry erase markers when you're using them every single day. And you may think that you will never use them. I never thought that I was a whiteboard person, but when you're studying with friends or when you're studying on campus, you will use the whiteboard a lot, and you will run through those markers, especially if you're gonna be in Grenada for a long time. I advise you to go to the Dollar Tree, go to Walmart, and get the most amount of markers you can get that will not cause too much excess weight on your luggage, and just pretty much stock up. It's not something that will go to waste because you will always use it. Also something that you can very well resell if it's not used, because a lot of students, when they leave Grenada, they do sell a lot of their stuffs, and students find markers and whiteboards very, very handy. So I do advise you to get markers if you can. This is pretty obvious, but yes, you will need a backpack or a very large purse, something that you can keep your laptop and your books in. I don't really see a lot of students, and I myself didn't really carry my books on campus because a lot of the books they give us for term 1 and term 2, you can find them online, and they do give you some online access. So you don't really want to be carrying those heavy books around, but you may have some other things such as your laptop, your iPad, and your first aid book that you'll be carrying around. So a backpack, a small one, is probably necessary. If you have not already invested in an iPad, this is probably the most important thing you will need when going to SGU. Why? Because this is where you are going to take all of your notes in. I really wish that I had an iPad in undergrad, because I think that it would have made my learning experience a lot more engaging and a lot more easier. I was the type of person that takes a lot of notes, and so I had so many paper notebooks in undergrad, and I would have to carry them, and there were different notebooks for each class. Sometimes I would be late and I would grab the wrong notebook and my whole day would just be ruined. But if you have an iPad, you can take all your notes on here. One of the best apps that you can use to take notes for med school, I think, is Notability. I will be posting another video on how you can take your notes with Notability at SGU specifically, and how it can completely change and enhance your learning experience. I recommend getting the 10-inch iPad. I previously went to SGU with a 9.7-inch, and it wasn't too small, but I honestly, because I split my screen so much on my iPad, I thought that I felt like I really needed something a lot bigger, and so I sold that one and I upgraded to a 10.2-inch. And you think, oh, that's just like 4 inches, it's not a big difference. Trust me, it changed everything for me. Having a bigger screen, I think, is necessary, especially because I don't take notes on my laptop, and so having a portable thing that still feels like it's give me that laptop experience because it's big really was helpful. I also recommend getting an Apple Pencil. You will need an Apple Pencil in order to write on your iPad with notes, but you do not have to get the name brand Apple Pencil. I had the Apple Pencil that was name brand, and I just kind of felt like it was breaking a lot and the tips always had to be replaced, and so I downgraded. I downgraded to an off-brand pencil that works universally for most tablets, and honestly, this is probably the best investment. It's $40 as opposed to the Apple Pencil, which is almost $120 or $100. It can be used for any type of tablet that I have. If I change my tablet, it's really great because all I have to do is tap on this and it automatically starts working. I think this is a much better investment than spending $100 on a pencil. This is a much better investment, and it's something that you can use multiple times with multiple different devices, which I think is great. The next thing you will need to get is noise canceling headphones. I didn't think this was necessary when I first went to Grenada in term 1, and in term 2 when I went back, best believe I brought me some noise canceling headphones. Students in Grenada are generally really respectable of quiet times and, you know, keeping their voices down whenever we're in the library or in study halls, but I do think that it can just naturally get distracting because there's just so many people, and I mean, you're on an island, it's naturally distracting. I think having noise canceling headphones kind of just helps things seem a little bit more focused, and you're able to kind of just zone in. I found that sometimes when I study with people, I was easily distracted by conversations, either on my table or around me, and so, but I also didn't want to stay stuck in my room isolated all day. So what I did was study with people. I would put on my headphones headphones so that I still have that community feel, but I can focus because I'm not getting distracted by the audio around me. So I definitely think that it's necessary to get. I know a lot of people like to get like Beats or other things that are really expensive. I don't think it's really worth it because this is not something that you will really use outside med school, in my opinion. So I recommend getting the off-brand noise canceling headphones. They have some on Amazon. I think mine were like $29 and they work great. They feel comfortable and they do the same exact thing as the other top brands that are being sold. So I definitely think a way to save money is just to get one on Amazon. It's one of those things where it's just, it does the same thing, it's just a different brand. Next on the list is extra chargers. Chargers are extremely expensive on the island, and you do not want to be in a situation where you cannot charge your laptop or your iPad or your iPhone. Definitely go on Amazon and get you some extra chargers that you can leave in your dorm, in your book pack, and then one you can carry around. It's just one of those things where it's just better to have extra than to be desperately needing one. A lot of the outlets in Grenada are universal in the sense that they have the Grenadian charging outlets and they also have the US outlets. So I didn't really find it necessary to buy a converter in most places because most places had US ports. But I do think that if you can get you some extra USB cords that can go into your iPhone and into your iPad. I know that the new iPads do not work with older iPhones, which is really annoying, but it is possible to get an off-brand one just so you know that you have one if necessary. Grenada is a very rainy island. It rains at least 3 times a week, but what's good about that is that it doesn't rain for more than like 15 or 20 minutes, but it does rain a lot. And so I do recommend bringing a mini umbrella, something that you can use and put into your book bag. You don't have to carry a giant one around. It rains and it's so annoying whenever you're having to walk to class and it just starts raining and you have nothing to cover yourself with. I definitely recommend getting an umbrella, maybe even 2, just in case that one gets lost, just so that you're not in situations that I was in several times. Grenada is also a very hilly, mountainous island. Even on campus, there's a lot of slopes and hills that you will be walking, so you want to make sure that you have sturdy sandals or shoes. I will link below and post a picture on the side of the shoes that I wore pretty much every single day. These Nike sandals are very pricey, I think, for sandals, but they are so comfortable and they have such a good sole so that when you're walking on those hills, you're not messing up your ankles, you're not messing up your feet. They're comfortable and they're water resistant. So when it does, not if it rains, when it rains, you're not slipping and falling out of your sandals. I also recommend getting a good pair of shoes. It does get kind of hot, that's why I prefer wearing sandals, but definitely a pair of shoes. And because it rains and you're wearing sneakers, rain and sneakers makes a smell. So I recommend getting some type of shoe freshener that you can spray in your shoe, or like a shoe balm that you can put in to make your shoes smell better whenever it rains. You don't want to walk around with smelly sneakers because people will smell you. These study halls in Grenada are massively big, and what does that come with? Cold. It does get pretty cold in the study halls. I recommend bringing 1 to 2 hoodies. I actually brought a Snuggie, and I would literally just be in the study hall with a giant Snuggie. You may think that's like excessive, but it gets really cold, like extremely cold in the study hall. So I definitely recommend bringing a jacket, a blanket, something to keep you warm. I ended up having to buy sweatpants on the island because it was just so cold in the study hall room. So definitely keep in mind that yes, you're going to a Caribbean island and it's going to be hot, you want to wear your tank tops, but the buildings do get pretty cold and you don't want to be shivering while studying because that doesn't make any sense. Definitely bring a first aid kit. Yeah, I'm gonna just leave that there. Bring a first aid kit. If you take special vitamins or medication, yes, Grenada has a pharmacy. Yes, they have a grocery store. You can get most things that you find in the US there. But if there's something very specific or organic or fancy that you use that you think may not be in another country, I definitely recommend stocking up, just because you wanna make sure that you have it and you don't wanna be in a situation where you need someone to ship something from the US because it takes a lot of time. It's super expensive and it's just not worth the hassle. So I recommend recommend bringing the vitamins and the medications that you think that you may need. A VPN. What is a VPN? I don't really know, but I do know that it is really, really necessary if you like to watch certain things on Netflix, HBO Max. Of course, you can watch most things in Grenada, but because it's in a different country, certain shows and certain movies may not be on your Netflix and they may not be on your Hulu, but you can get a VPN Max, and a VPN basically changes the IP address, I think, or changes the location of your laptop on the internet so it looks like you're in another country like the US. I'm not sure if that's legal. If it's illegal, ignore what I'm saying, but if it's not, I think a VPN is great to get because I was able to change my location of my laptop to make it seem like I was in the US, and I was able to watch some of the shows I wanted whenever I was on break time. I think it's pretty worth it. It's also great because if the Wi-Fi goes down on campus, you're kind of able to use your VPN to basically browse the internet. So that's pretty helpful. It's a little pricey. I think it's about $60 to $100, but that lasts for an entire year. So I think it's great. You can also use it on multiple different devices. It's pretty much just a program that you can install on your computer. I do think it's very helpful, but definitely when you come back to the US, it may not be as necessary. All right, a few more things you may need on your list. Comfortable scrubs. Now, I don't know why scrubs are so expensive. Like, I just don't get it. But I have noticed that the more expensive ones tend to be a little bit more comfortable. I personally like wearing my scrubs all day. I think it looks cool. It makes me feel like a doctor. It makes me feel like I'm doing something. So I want to have scrubs that are comfortable, that I like to wear all day. A lot of people wear Janu, a lot of people wear Figs. I did not buy any of those, but I still went to a scrub store and got some pretty comfortable scrubs. And I think that you should find whatever works for you, whatever is in your price range, whatever is comfortable, but definitely get one that are breathable, that are stretchy, that you can walk around with, because you know it's one of those things where you don't want to get the ones that are fully cotton because you'll sweat and it'll be hot and it's just not going to be cute. So definitely get something that you think is comfortable. Also bring a box of medical gloves. You will use this whenever you go to lab, and you can also use it whenever you have patient interactions during small group. I think that one box is more than enough, and you will most likely not need more than that. I also recommend getting an international bank account. So basically, a lot of bank accounts that are the US tend to charge customers when they swipe their card outside of the country, and that kind of racks up. You know, a 20-cent charge here, a $2 charge here, it starts to add up. I recommend getting a Charles Schwab bank account. A Charles Schwab bank account is an international bank account that does not charge you whenever you use your card in Grenada. It is a Visa card. You can use it also in the US, and they do not charge you for withdrawing money, and you can pretty much use it in any ATM on campus in Grenada and outside of campus. So I definitely recommend getting some form of an international bank account that will not charge you for making purchases abroad. And last but not least, you will need beach stuff. Why? Because remember, you're going to medical school, but you're also going to be living on an island, and you can't let that pass you by. Get your bathing suit, get your beach towels, get your beach supplies, because at the end of the day, you're gonna have fun on the weekends, you're gonna have fun after tests, and you wanna be able to go to the beach and be comfortable. So make sure you bring whatever you usually use at the beach, and honestly, do you, boo. I hope that this video was helpful. I hope that you were able to save just a little bit or a lot of money, and I wish you guys the best of luck that are going to Grenada. Enjoy it. It's one of the most memorable, life-changing experiences. It will go by so fast. If you have any other questions or you want to ask me anything about this video, SU, or any other content on my page, follow my Instagram below and DM me, or you can send me an email. Stay tuned for more videos. See you guys later.